Okay, thank you very much for what?
You know when to record this?
I am.
Oh.
It's a screen recording.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you very much for your time today, and thank you very much for helping with this usability testing. We've scheduled this session to run for approximately 60 minutes, but it might run a bit over, it might run slightly less. Before we start, I'll explain the setup and how the session works. So what we're doing today, I'm responsible for conducting some customer research for a fuel comparison app. We're trying to identify issues that could be fixed to make the app easier to use. To do that, we're talking to people like you, and based on your feedback, we're hoping to pinpoint areas for improvement. So first of all, let me talk you through the run setup. I'll be asking you a series of questions and talking you through the tests. We have a computer here with a camera and a microphone to record what you do and record what you say. We will record the session for note-taking purposes only, and the footage will only be shared with the team and no one outside the team. We will ask you some questions about your experience using this My Car app, and I'll ask you to perform a few tasks, asking you a series of questions as you go. So before we begin, there are a few things to keep in mind that will help with the tests and help run the tests smoother. The session is a usability test, and that's what it's called, but it's important to know that we're not testing you, we're simply testing the website, or in this case the car app. There aren't any right or wrong answers, there are no trick questions, and we're not trying to catch you out in any way, shape or form. It's really important though, if you do come across problems, please understand that it's not your fault, it's not you being stupid. It's the software's fault, and in fact the more problems you can point out, the better it is for us, because then we can go back and we can hopefully fix them. And second, please be as candid as possible. If you see something you like or you don't like, and you think it's just plain silly, please say so. If it's seeing something that you don't like and you think it's a negative thing, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I haven't been involved in the design process of any of these screens. I haven't been at all in the process of developing the My Car application. And third, as you navigate around the website or the mobile phone app, whatever's going through your head, please verbalize it. So for example, if you are about to click on a button, then say, I'm going to click here because I think it's going to take me to the next page. Or you can say, I'm looking around the screen for the price. Basically, we want you to think out loud. It helps us write better notes, and also if you can approach things slightly slower than you actually normally would, then that would be really helpful. If you work your way around the My Car application too quickly, then we might not be able to get all the notes, we might not be able to write them down quick enough. I'll remind you to think out loud, and I'll remind you to slow down throughout the session too if you go too quickly. And finally, please feel free to ask any questions you like. It's a great way for us as the UX design team to understand your thoughts, but in order to keep the test as realistic as possible, I may not always be able to answer your questions. So thanks for your understanding. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No.
No? Okay, great. Well, first of all, before I ask you to go to the My Car application, I'd like to start by just asking a few background questions. Is that okay?
Yep.
Great. So firstly, could you tell me what your occupation is?
I'm a digital marketing manager.
Okay. And where do you live?
I live in Surrey.
Okay. And how do you access the internet?
I mainly access it via my iPhone,
Hmm.
but I also access it on my laptop and my iPad.
Okay. And is this predominantly at home, at work, in another location?
Everywhere really. So
Yeah.
my phone anywhere on the
Hmm.
go, also at home, and my laptop. Yes, at work. If I'm at home or in the office.
Okay. So you mentioned it's your own personal laptop and mobile phone.
It's not my personal laptop; it's my work
Hmm.
laptop, but the phone is mine.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Do you own any other smart devices?
Yeah, I have my iPad and an Apple Watch.
Hmm. Okay. And do you have broadband?
Yes,
Okay. And so when you're using your smartphone, do you use apps on your smartphone?
yes, I do.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. What happened there? Um, let's just ask you to rejoin. Um, okay. Um, what kind of apps do you tend to use?
Um, I use anything from like train line app to seeing where my next train is, planning my
Hmm.
journey. Google Maps is probably the one I use the most
Hmm.
to work out my journey. Um, I use some fashion apps such as ASOS. Um, I also use what else do I use? Um, a baby app
Hmm.
for pregnancy,
Hmm.
um, nutrition. I use some apps for Gmail app. I use that a
Hmm.
lot.
Hmm.
Those are probably the main ones, I think.
Okay, that's good. Good to know. Um, and so, yeah, do you in particular use? You mentioned a bit about Google Maps and kind of shopping comparison apps. What drives you to use Google Maps, for example? Is it mainly to find locations, or do you
Yeah,
use it for?
mainly to find places that I'm going
Yeah.
to, visiting, how to
Okay.
get there quickest.
Mhm.
I use it hands free in my car,
Mhm.
so if I'm going somewhere, it'll come up on my sat nav on the
Mhm.
screen in the car. Um, yeah, the quickest route basically, and how to get there.
Okay. And out of curiosity, do you ever use filters within Google Maps? And if
Mm,
so, what kind of filters do you tend to use?
yeah, I think I use filters if I want to arrive to the location at a certain time.
Yeah.
I'll put arrive by X date or time.
Hmm.
Also, if I'm using a certain type of transport, so I'm walking, driving, or cycling, I use those
Hmm.
filters.
Okay. And so for when you're shopping using comparison apps, what kind of shopping apps do you tend to use, and how do you use them?
If I'm going to use a comparison app,
Yeah.
I'd use like Go Compare,
Hmm.
um, uh, Go Compare, Money Saving Expert. I think it's another one.
Hmm.
I think most recently I used that for car insurance for my car.
Hmm.
Um, and I would use it to look for the cheapest car insurance, who's doing the best deal
Hmm.
based on like my circumstances.
Okay. And do you use these apps mainly for pleasure, or do you also use these for business?
I guess like personal use,
Hmm.
um, probably not for like work purposes, just with my own personal use.
Okay. And how frequently do you tend to shop online?
Probably oh, at least every 2 weeks or
Hmm.
once a week if that.
Okay. And when you do shop online, what devices do you ultimately mostly use?
My phone probably the most
Hmm.
because my apps are on my phone.
Okay. That's good. And now I want to ask you a few kind of petrol specific related questions, if I could. Um, where do you have any petrol stations which you tend to visit most frequently? And if so, how do you how do you pay for your fuel when you're visiting those stations?
Yeah, so there's two fuel stations near where I live. One at the end of the road and one at the other end of the road. So they're really convenient. I would pay probably by debit card, only because of the price limit that you could actually pay on your car on your Apple. I guess your your wallet on your phone before. So I think now it's over £100, but I'm probably in the habit of just using my debit card. However, it is handy. Sometimes I have done it on my phone for the convenience.
And when you go to fill up your car with petrol, how do you ever look at the price of fuel before you go to that petrol station? Do you use fuel comparison websites or apps? How do you find?
I personally don't use the comparison Apple website. I tend to just look at like the number on the billboard that's outside the petrol station. But to be honest, I don't really remember what the prices are, so I'm just going by probably what's the most convenient petrol station near me. But yeah, I haven't really used an app before to compare prices.
And so, if you were to be introduced to a fuel comparison app, would this tempt you to shop around more when you're looking at fuel prices before filling up?
Yeah, probably. If it was convenience, if the locations were near me, if I had like the choice out of two or three, which we kind of do in this area, then yeah, I probably would go to the cheapest one if it was easy for me to look before I left the house.
Yeah. Okay. And are you swayed by kind of the distance it would take, or the journey time between filling up in one petrol station over another? What's that? What would that limit look like?
Probably. I mean, where we are, there's literally three down almost the same road, so that probably would be okay. But if I had to drive 10 minutes down the road in another direction to save £1 or £2, then no, I don't think that's worth it, because one, you're using fuel to get there, so that's almost like a waste, and then also the time to get there as well is convenience that is closer. So I think it would have to be in a radius of like the same area as such.
And the last time you went to buy fuel in a petrol station, can you tell me why specifically you went to that petrol station? What urged you to go to that specific fuel pump?
I think it was convenience, because I only had 2 bars left on my petrol tank. So, and I knew we were about to do a long journey. So we thought, let's just pull over and the first petrol station we see, let's fill up. Didn't really know if the price was good or not, to be honest. It was just the convenience, because it was ahead of a long journey and we were about to go on the motorway and we didn't know when the next petrol station was going to be. So we just pulled over and went to the first one we saw.
Okay. And I'm guessing that was your first visit on that particular petrol station, was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So when you do visit petrol stations, frequently quite close, are you what's your main factor? Is it the price of fuel, or is it because of the way you can pay? Is it
probably a mixture between convenience and the price. If I knew the price was cheaper, then I would go somewhere for the price. But the convenience of it, if you need it, when you need the fuel, you need the fuel. So unless you're prepared and you fill up maybe like before you're going to work or something in your local location, otherwise if you're on the road, then you just have to fill up as and when you need it. So that's probably the convenience side of it. So yeah, price and convenience, I would say.
Yeah. And when you're planning a long car journey, say with a group of 3 or 4 friends, and say you're driving from the south of the UK all the way to Scotland, um, do you plan your journey before you travel?
Um, yes. So yeah, I would know. Yeah, I'd know how long it's going to take, and I know roughly the route that's going to take.
Okay. And do you know, or would you plan how many fuel stations you're gonna stop at, and how and
Mm,
when you're gonna buy
no,
fuel?
probably not. That probably wouldn't be in my nature to do that. No.
Okay. And when you do, say, go on a weekend away and you're driving, either do you at the start of the holiday or do you at the end of the holiday gather up? How do you share that fuel expenditure with people?
Um, yeah, I guess I'd keep the receipts.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd just have the receipts and then divide that by however many people were with me on the trip. And that's how much everybody would pay.
Okay, that's great. Um, see if I've got any more questions. Oh yeah, so yeah, when you're discussing how much to budget for fuel, is that a discussion that you have with other people? And if so, how do you discuss that? Do you discuss that on social media platforms, on
Probably just
telephone
some WhatsApp,
calls?
I think.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's how you share all your data.
Yeah, if it's with friends and family, I would just probably do it on WhatsApp, or by email actually maybe as well.
Hmm.
Um, I guess the most convenient thing is probably WhatsApp.
Hmm.
But if it was a lot of like receipts and stuff, then if I had to do loads of attachments, I probably would do that on email.
Okay, lovely. So now that brings us on to the actual task that I'd like you to complete. So if you could please open up the My Car app on your mobile phone.
Okay.
You should find that just there. Okay. So the first thing I'd like you to do is tell me what you see on your homepage.
So I can see the My Car logo, I think it is, and then it asks me add a new vehicle to get started,
Mhm.
with the title and then the purple button, which is
Mhm.
saying add a new vehicle, import data, and there's also like a menu function at the top left hand side.
Okay. And can you tell me what you think import data means?
I'm not sure. Probably about my car.
Okay. And so if you could quickly press add a new vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay. Now can you tell me what you see here?
So I can see it says vehicle with a tick, a photo, and a plus button. So I'm guessing that probably is asking me to take a photo of my car registration, maybe.
Hmm.
Name, I guess that's my name. The make of the car, the model, the year, um, uh, and then it's asking me some more questions about trip meter, trip computer, which I don't really know what that is.
Okay.
Trip computer's already ticked.
Hmm.
Fuel, so what fuel type, what litre unit. Yeah, it's quite a lot of information on here that it's asking me for.
Hmm. And so, yeah, if you could begin by typing in, obviously, your car details. We can make it fictitious if you're worried about confidentiality. And when you are typing this in, what are your thoughts as to kind of typing your information in as opposed to selecting it?
I'm thinking I have to know the details,
Hmm.
which I know the beginning details. It's
Hmm.
pretty clear to add it all in.
Hmm.
I don't really know what this question is. Kilometers, trip meter, trip computer. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So at this point,
Would it be helpful with a? Would you like the app to actually explain what an odometer is?
yeah, because otherwise I'm going to have to close this and then Google
Hmm.
what it would be because I don't know what it is for my car.
Yeah. Okay. And just to touch base on what you were saying before, You like the fact that you can type your details in as opposed to actually having a selection where you can scroll and use wheels to select different car makes.
I mean, that probably would be easier if I could have the option, and because if I spelt it, I realised I spelt Volkswagen wrong to begin with, but it auto corrected my spelling. But I wouldn't have that problem if I could just select from a list. But I guess the list would be quite long, so on a mobile, it might get a bit too long. But at least then I know I'm inputting the right information, like T-Rock, I know is the model of the car, but I don't know if that's should be capitals or not. I don't know if that matters. So yeah, I think actually having some pre-filled or category options from a drop-down would actually be really helpful. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So for this task, I'm going to tell you what an odometer is. It's a tool to measure, or it's a tool for your car to measure the distance travelled and the speed you're travelling at.
Okay.
And it can tell you, so for example, your car can tell you exactly how many miles you've done during that journey.
Okay.
But also as a whole. So that's what it is. So if you could tick trip meter.
Okay.
And you can see, what do you think for the fact that you can actually have both trip meter and trip computer ticked at the same time?
Yeah, that's probably more confusing because I thought, now you described it to me, I thought it would be one or the other. So again, I think explanation of like what each one is would be really helpful.
Yeah. And do you like the fact that the page is quite clean? What are your thoughts on the overall design?
Yeah, I think it's quite clean. I can scroll down to the bottom. I can see how many questions it's going to ask me, which is a probably good and bad thing because I've always looked at this like, oh, there's quite a lot of information. But actually, I'm thinking if it was like, if I had to fill in a section, hit next, hit next, hit next, sometimes that's really frustrating because you don't know when it's going to end. Here I can see, hopefully this is the end of the form, so it won't take me that long. And actually I could, if I needed to, I could go away, get my answers to my question, to the questions, and then I could come back and fill it all in one go. So actually, yeah, it's not too bad. But I have noticed actually now scrolling, I've skipped the first bit, like where it says the photo, which I don't actually know, like what is it? A photo? I don't really know what I'm taking a photo of. Is it the car or? And I've skipped that bit, so I haven't actually filled it in. So yeah, that's probably not very good.
Okay. So if you could start to input your fuel type, so your fuel type will be diesel.
And actually, as I've just hit that camera button, I realise now that the where I selected trip meter, it's no longer selected. So I'm going to have to click that again. So that's not very good. So fuel type, yes, that's fine. So I'll leave that as it is.
So what do you see when you click fuel type?
I mean, there's quite a lot. So gasoline, diesel, electric, gasoline, electric, LPG, I don't really know what some of these other ones are. All I know is mine is gasoline, so I'll ignore the rest and I'll just go for this. Okay. I guess if you've got that type of car, you'd know what you're looking for. Fuel unit is litre, US gallon, imperial. I'll just go for litre.
Okay. And then tank capacity.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. So at this point, if you had no idea, what would you do? Would you look it up? Would you have a guess?
Maybe I'd actually probably just skip the question and see if it allows me to go on to the next page without putting it in. Because there's no like asterisks here telling me I have to put the information in. So that kind of indicates to me that it's not essential to carry on. So yeah, I'd probably just miss it, and if it was essential, then I'd have to look it up.
And then so you're now on purchase.
Purchase date 30th of May, so I'll change that. So this is good. This is easy. So can do probably about. Well, I'm not entirely sure the exact date, but we'll go for like.
That's fine.
The beginning of the month, 21. Yes, that was pretty easy. I don't want to and purchase one.
Did you like the fact that I noticed that there was a wheel to select, but no option to There's no complete
Confirm.
button or
Yeah,
confirm.
that did actually cross my mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I know from purchasing and doing things on my phone just to click away, but
Mm-hmm.
I think actually, yeah, having a confirm complete or something like that would actually be much clearer to, because sometimes these do jump around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think a button would be good.
Okay. And then so your
I don't
sale.
know what the odometer I'd put in there. Purchase price. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually purchase it because I'm paying it off per month. So
That's fine. I mean, you could just roughly say 30,000,
okay,
and then if you just put odometer, you could say 2,000.
2,000. Okay.
Okay.
Sale date. So I guess that's the just purchase date, sale date. So I haven't sold my car, so that's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't tell me, is it either purchase or or oh, I guess because I'm selling my car, aren't I? In this instance, no. Sale. What is the sale date? It's a bit confusing.
Okay. All right. Well, never mind that. And what do you see with details? What do you think it? What does that mean to you?
I'm guessing details about the vehicle, but again, it's not very clear. Like, yeah, what is the details? So if I press the plus sign, it says title value.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what that means. Then if I press, I guess I can title value. The value of the car, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not very clear. And then notes section, like notes about the car.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I guess again you don't need that. Ooh, so maybe I'd skip it. And then notes. Sorry, documents.
And what kind of documents would these be? Do you reckon?
Probably documents about the car or anything to do with the car. So it could be receipts or insurance or anything that would be associated with my car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like I can just go on my phone and get them.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Okay. So once you've completed all this information, you've inputted all this information in. What would you then? What would you do next?
Well, I would probably expect a button to say like complete or next or something, but there isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see there's a cross or a tick, which I guess would be next one. So I'll press the tick, and then it's got my name, no data.
Okay. So now the second task, I want you to click onto the circle with a plus sign.
Yeah.
And in there, I want you to click on service.
Yeah.
And I want you to put some details in about your last service. So just for the sake of this task, your service was only a few days ago. We'll say it was in May, but we'll say it was on the 26th of May 2022.
26. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And your location was just around the corner, your nearest quick fit garage.
Quick fit. Okay.
Okay. And then the value of the odometer was 2,500.
Okay.
Okay. And other service. So what do you think other service means?
Service type, so like what types of services you can get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if other service makes sense. I know when I clicked on it, car wash, change tyres, engine oil. So yeah, I guess everything extra that you could get whilst you're having a service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean once you click on it, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you can add. Yeah, you can add more than one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I guess because sometimes you have, like your tyres are changed or something as well.
Mm.
Should I just click one?
Yeah, you can do.
I'll do engine oil.
Okay. And what do you like? I mean, do you dislike the fact that you can put in more than one thing? What do you what are your thoughts about that?
No, I think that's good because sometimes you do have more than one. When you go to get your car serviced, you have, yeah, it's not just a service. You can add more. You do have more than one thing quite often. So yeah, I think that's good. You can add another one quite easily, and then it has the total. So I'm guessing that's the cost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite good. Although when I click that, so I guess if I did engine oil, £50, for example, then I did another one. How do I add in? Oh, okay, so that was a bit confusing. I wasn't quite sure how to add in the total cost.
Okay.
So it looks like I have to click the money, the pound sign, and then I put in the cost separately. I don't know what this one. Oh, you can do minus and plus. That's quite good.
Okay.
And press OK. So that wasn't the clearest, but it makes sense now I've done it.
Yeah.
And then the total has tallied up.
And when you say it wasn't the clearest, do you have any suggestions on how you can make it clearer?
Yeah, probably. I think it just needs to say add costs, or because when I yeah, it just needs to be clear. Like, where do you add the cost? Do you add it next to the service type title, or maybe you can add it on the total at the bottom. Maybe actually, when you're adding the service, so we're going here, we're going to other service. Oh, it doesn't now, so that's different. So if I click that out, plus other service. Oh, okay, so you can actually do it from the drop down. I think it's because the first one, you don't put the cost in as you're putting the service in. So that's a little bit confusing. I think the setup could just be a bit more fluid.
Okay, so then once you've completed that task, show me how you'd navigate back to
it says
the
more.
page.
So this is notes and attachments again. So maybe I put my receipts here, or notes of like where it was, or when's the next date I need the service or something. So I'll probably click the tick again, complete it. Do enjoy my car, tap a star to rate it on the App Store.
And what do you think about that pop-up window being there at this point?
It seems quite soon. I've only just started using the app, so I wouldn't really expect to be using it like now. To be rating it now. I think maybe when I've done a bit more. But to be honest, I always just press not now. I don't really like giving stars, but maybe I'll just do one, submit it. It's asked me to write a review as well, which I can't really be bothered to do, so I probably won't. I'll just press OK.
Okay. And lastly, can you tell me what you think of the icons at the bottom of the screen? What do you think of them, and what do you think they're for?
The first one's really obvious, home button.
Yeah.
Second one, I have no idea what that is. Third one, I guess, is notifications, because that's quite common for other things. And the fourth one looks like a map with a clock, and I don't really know what that is.
Do you want to try clicking on the map?
Yeah.
Okay.
No trips.
So next, if you want to add a trip, how would you add a trip onto there?
I think I'll press the plus button.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
And then say for example you're travelling to Guildford. How would you input that?
Name. I think it could say name of trip or something like that. Name. So I guess I'll put Guildford. Type of trip, holiday, business, private. So I guess I'll put private because I'm just travelling there for me. Start date. So when did I? Maybe that should say like date of travel. Because start is like, I guess it's So I'll do 29th. And this time it's fine. Again, it's the odometer. So I don't really know how I would know that. I'd probably have to go to Google Maps. From what I understand from odometer, it's like the distance. So I'd have to go to Google Maps, probably work out how many miles it was. Oh, in kilometers, and then put it in here. So I just put 200 for now.
Okay.
Oh.
So what do you see when you try and type in
odometer value cannot be less than odometer value cannot be less than odometer value in previous event. Check also event date time, because my service was 2,500. that's really confusing. I don't understand what this means.
Okay. So in that event, what do you think you would do?
I'd get a bit frustrated and probably not fill this in because I don't understand what this means.
Okay. Well, for the purposes of this task, I'll explain. Because your service input, the last odometer value you put is 2,000 in, it means you have to put a number in that's higher than 2,000.
Okay.
So you try putting in 2,100.
No.
Or maybe 2,500.
Okay.
Okay.
And then end, I guess it's like the end location. When did I get there?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was on the same day for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the time, I think I have to change. I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Odometer again. Oh, it just changed to trip distance. So that's weird. So it did say odometer, and now it's changed to trip distance.
Mm.
So maybe here, this is when I'd go to Google Maps.
Yeah.
And work out how long it was.
Okay.
So I just put 60.
And the fact that if you don't know your trip distance, going to Google Maps, would you see that as being a positive thing or a negative thing?
A negative thing is I'm having to leave the app and then go into another app to find out what it was.
Mm-hmm.
If it was linked, it would be much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of back and forth and a lot of details that I need to know, which I don't have to hand.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's a more option, and again the notes and attachments.
Yeah. And what do you think about using the notes and attachments for this specific purpose of adding a trip in? Would you see that as a benefit?
I don't really know what I'd write. Maybe. Yeah, I don't really know what I would use it for. Mm-hmm. If it was a long trip, then actually maybe I could remind myself like where I got the petrol or who paid. Was it me or was it my friend? Mm-hmm. Attach the receipt maybe at this point. Yeah, actually, I guess this is for me, but if it was a business trip, then I'd put in some details here. So yeah, I probably maybe would attach the receipt because then I probably would need to submit it to like the finance team at work to get my money back or something. So maybe here I would do that. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, for this purpose, the trip is now completed.
Okay.
So you can
press the tick button.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then how would you then share that information with other people?
I think this looks like a download button at the top right hand side. So press that. Export data. So I'll try that. Okay, exporting my car trips. I guess you can change the title. So I get to choose where I can store it in my phone, and then or put it in the folder. So I just press save. So then it says it's complete. So now it would be my folder, and I could share that with my friends if I needed to. Okay.
So now, for last purposes, if you touch the home button, and yeah, I think we're now just about completed. There's one more thing I'd quite like to ask, and that's if you wanted to change the colour of the home screen and change the colour of these buttons.
Yeah.
Would that be something that you see being quite valuable and viable to you?
Probably not. I don't think I'd be bothered. Like, it's okay. I feel like this is the brand colour. So, I mean, it doesn't really bother me. It'd be quite cool if it's personalised to your car, maybe. So you could have a picture of your car. But if I was going to change it, I'd probably go to, like, menu, settings, appearance. Oh, here we go. And then, yeah, I guess I'd choose green because I like green. Let's try purple.
And what do you think about this this screen that you see now?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's like easy to use. Primary colours, accent colour. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you've got a couple of options. Use something to suit everybody. It's nice, I guess it's personalising the experience a bit more. I don't know if I'd bother, as I say, like, I'm not that bothered about it,
Mm.
to be honest. Now I'm here. I'm struggling. Oh, about my car. Home. That's what I was trying to do. Home. So now I can see what it looks like. Yeah, I mean it's nice. But, like the purple down the bottom. Yeah, I mean I probably wouldn't be that bothered, to be honest, but it's nice you can do it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Emily. That's the usability test done for tonight.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts, and we will start writing some notes. Thank you very much.